I timed it out. If you don't read too slow, and if you don't read too fast, it comes in at about 93.5 seconds to read. So a friend comes up to me after church one Sunday recently and asked a great question. I had just waxed eloquent about how people ought to do the number one thing that you can do to grow in your love for God and your love for people. Studies have shown this, that if you will engage in personal, prayerful Bible study, that is the most important practice that you can engage in. So I went on and on about this, and she said, hey, all right, you got me. I'm willing to do that. I want to do that. Now what do I do? Let's face it, because if you've never engaged with the Bible much before, the Bible's a very intimidating book. Get this, it is 1,200 pages long. This is the book War and Peace. Now, War and Peace is known culturally as a very, very long book. You know how many pages that is? 1,200 pages. That's the reason I've never read War and Peace. Not to mention the fact that the Bible has 66 different books it's made up of. 73 in some traditions, but that's a different topic. But it is a full library of books of all different shapes and sizes, and so where do you start? Now, some people would say, well, you start at the beginning, just like any book. But here's the problem, is that many, many people have tried this. And what happens is the very first book of the Bible is a fairly easy read. There's a lot of stories. The second book of the Bible starts off, it's the same way. It's a fairly easy read. There's stories. But about halfway through, there's not stories. There's a lot of instructions and details that are very, very hard to relate to and understand. Then you come to the third book of the Bible, and honestly, that's when most people get bogged down. So I want to suggest another way, and it is taking advantage of the fact that the Bible is one book, but at the same time, it is a full library of books. But think about it. When you go to the library, you look at all kinds of different books. Some of them are really, really thick. Others aren't. But the good news is, because they're a library, they each stand on their own in one form or the other. So technically speaking, you don't have to go to the beginning. You can go through the library and pick out one. Now, here's the coaching that I would give anybody who's just starting out, is you can pick the shortest one. There's a handful of books in the Bible that are very, very short. The shortest one of all is called 3 John. It comes in at roughly 238 words. It's barely a book. It's more like a blog or even half a blog. This is what it looks like on paper. Now, here's the beauty of this. It's a standalone. You can start with 3 John, and here's what I would tell you, is that get to know it, get to understand it, look up some research on it. But most importantly, you can read the book of 3 John in, I timed it out, if you don't read too slow, and if you don't read too fast, it comes in at about 93.5 seconds to read it. And the beauty of that is you have 93.5 seconds.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, why should you take this approach? Let me give you 3 quick reasons. The first one's this. You are trying to establish a personal, prayerful, daily practice, an emphasis on daily. This is for a lifetime, because that's the habit that's really going to change your life. And if going for daily, you always want to start easy. Start with a simple practice that you can build on over time. Number 2 is you can do this.
Yes, you can!
You do have 93.5 seconds in your day, and if you don't, you're booking yourself a little bit too tight. And finally, number 3, the Bible is an integrated communication system. While it has all these books in its library, they all relate to one another in one form or the other. So in other words, if you get to know just one book, in one form, you are getting to know all the other books at the same time. And so you can gradually wade in to the entire thing, and you can learn it by starting at the shortest place, but grow in to some of those complex things where people get bogged down. I hope that helps. See you next time.